Unbelievable. Waitress discovers a hidden billionaire who transformed her life in just 24 hours. Emma's hands trembled slightly as she poured another cup of steaming coffee into the chipped mug. The midday sun streamed through the windows of the diner, casting a warm glow over the tired faces dotted around the tables. Every smile she offered felt a little strained, yet she masked her exhaustion behind a spirited facade. With the weight of her parents' sudden passing pressing down on her, every shift felt like a battle. She had taken on the mantle of raising her two younger siblings, wrestling with the relentless tide of unpaid bills. But while she donned the hat of caretaker and provider, her own dreams were locked away like a fragile secret d'amour. Reynolds sat alone in her section, his understated demeanor giving him an air of quiet mystery. When their conversation began, the tension of the previous hours melted away as they exchanged small talk over pie. For the first time in what felt like eternity, Emma dared to share her passion for nursing. Her heart ached as she spoke of wanting to help others heal, but doubt crawled into her thoughts. Could she really chase this dream while her family's needs hung heavily around her neck? She wrestled with every word, anticipation and fear blooming within her. Why not? Just go for it, her best friend often insisted, believing passionately in the value of hard work and independence. That conviction echoed in her mind now, but as she spoke, a deeper worry lurked in her heart. What if she failed? Was that the price of success, abandoning her family for her ambition? The air in the diner grew thicker as they continued chatting, Mr. Reynolds listening intently, yet his silence felt almost judgmental, amplifying her anxiety. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the conversation deepened, her heart raced with undisguised hope. But that hope tangled with guilt as thoughts of her siblings flooded her mind. Did she dare chase a dream that might pull her away from her responsibilities? The very idea twisted her insides as the pressure mounted. Mr. Reynolds's interest in her seemed almost tangible, each word exchanged pulling her deeper into a nagging conflict. It was all too easy to get lost in his encouragement, yet lurking beneath was the nagging fear of judgment. Would the world see her as a fraud, leaning on a man of privilege instead of earning her success through sheer hard work? Just when she began to consider Mr. Reynolds' enthusiasm for her potential, when whispers of hope coaxed her from her despair, a mother of two entered the diner, worn down and weary. Emma met her gaze, the weight of her struggles reflected back to her. Was she really willing to put her own needs before others? Anxiety clawed at her thoughts, raising urgent questions about her identity and worth. Standing in Mr. Reynolds' office days later, every moment felt weighty, charged with possibility. Her future dangled before her, shiny yet unfamiliar. The mixed emotions swirled around, tension electrifying the air. Could she really embrace a new beginning, or would accepting his help mean betraying her family's needs? She hesitated, his expectant gaze pinning her to the spot. The options ahead felt overwhelming, and her next words could change everything. Emma stood at the precipice of change, feeling the gravity of her decision pressing down on her shoulders. Mr. Reynolds was waiting, his eyes filled with a depth of understanding that both comforted and unsettled her. Should she forsake the familiar burdens of her life for the unknown, the promise of a future that shimmered just beyond her grasp? The office around her felt strangely suffocating, filled with the muted sounds of the city below. The walls felt as though they were closing in, suffused with the weight of her conflicting emotions. Each breath heightened the turmoil brewing inside her. She could see everything she stood to gain: the path to nursing school, the fulfillment of her lifelong dream, but the specter of responsibility loomed just behind her, laden with guilt and expectation. Emma, Mr. Reynolds's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. Have you considered what pursuing your passion would mean, truly? The way he cared made her want to hide her fears from him, yet at the same time, she felt compelled to lay bare the internal struggles that raged within. She exhaled slowly, trying to rein in the chaos in her mind. "I want to," but her voice was tentative, as if the walls might listen. "What if I can't manage both? What if I fail at either? My siblings depend on me." He leaned forward, earnestness etched across his face. "And what if you succeed, Emma? You have a gift." His words sparked something in her, a flicker of courage that danced with the doubt but was quickly extinguished. "You don't understand," she replied, frustration morphing into a defensive plea. "Every choice seems to have its price. I'd be chasing a dream that might just fold like a house of cards if I can't balance everything." She wanted to scream, to explode with the revelation that hidden beneath her dutiful exterior was the want for independence and purpose. But doubt dampened her fire. Was it so selfish to prioritize her dreams over the needs of her siblings? As he studied her, she felt exposed, raw. She sensed his compassion, but could he grasp the weight of her burden? Few could. "Listen," he said softly, "every person has the right to pursue their dreams. Your journey doesn't negate your responsibilities to your family." His assertion left her reeling. Could she not have both? Could the lives entwined in hers expand to accommodate her aspirations? "Picture yourself in Scrubs," he continued, his eyes alight with encouragement. "Imagine the impact you could have on others. You can inspire your siblings, show them it's okay to chase their dreams." A spark ignited within her, fluttering to life, but the shadows of doubt eclipsed it. What if she was just dreaming? "Maybe I need time," she murmured, grappling with a decision that felt less like a choice and more like a chasm separating her past from an uncertain future. "Time is something we all wish we had more of, but it won't wait for you," he said, his voice firm yet tender. "You'll always have choices, but don't let fear dictate them." Emma felt a rippling of admiration for this man, juxtaposing her own feelings of inadequacy. How was he so sure of himself? In the silence that followed, she sensed that somewhere along the way, she'd lost sight of who she could become. Perhaps Mr. Reynolds truly saw something in her that she had long since silenced. "Maybe I'm not ready," she whispered, feeling the tremor of unresolved potential coursing through her veins. Yet as she left his office, doubt swirled like a tempest in her mind, battling against a fragile thread of newfound determination. Her heart thumped with the realization that in chasing her aspirations, she might not just find herself, she might also redefine her role as the unwavering pillar for her family. But before she could grasp the full scope of her revelations, an unexpected invitation appeared in her email, promising to unveil a pivotal opportunity, the kind that could either shatter her fears or cement her resolve. Would she dare to embrace it? The night air had begun to cool as Emma sat at her small kitchen table, the glow of her laptop illuminating her pensive features. The email notification blinked insistently, a siren call that seemed to pierce through her fog of uncertainty. Each moment she lingered over it only amplified her trepidation. What if the opportunity it presented could lead her to the very future she had fantasized about but feared pursuing? With a flick of her fingers, she clicked open the message. It detailed an open house for a local nursing program, specifically designed for individuals juggling jobs and family responsibilities. The words leaped off the screen, promising support, flexible hours, and the chance for scholarships. For the first time, she felt a spark of genuine excitement. Yet, with that spark came a flurry of questions. What did it mean to chase this dream? What if she signed up and then faltered, leaving all the weight of her responsibilities unaddressed? It felt as if she was standing on the edge of a vast canyon. One misstep, and all she believed she had to uphold would crash down around her. She drummed her fingers on the table, feeling the steady rhythm pulse in the silence. Each tap became a question layered with doubt. Who would care for her siblings if she dove headfirst into an education that demanded her time and energy? Could she really trust herself to be the role model she longed to be while pursuing her own ambitions? Just then, her younger brother, Jake, burst through the front door, youthful exuberance shining in his eyes. "Hey, Emma. You won't believe what I found out today. His excited ramblings briefly distracted her from her internal conflict, even as his earnest smile tugged at her heartstrings. That sounds great, Jake, she replied, forcing herself to engage. What is it? It's a scholarship competition for students at my school. And if I win, it could help our family. There it was, the clarity of what Emma yearned to be for her siblings. It crystallized in her mind. She wanted to be their inspiration, showing them that chasing dreams was worthwhile and achievable. But the truth was equally clear. She felt shackled by the weight of her own choices, binding her to a life that eclipsed her aspirations. Why don't you apply? Her voice dripped with encouragement, despite the storm brewing in her gut. I will. I just need your help. Her resolve softened as he launched into the details of his ambitions, the glimmer of hope in his eyes illuminating possibilities she had almost forgotten existed. She felt an undeniable surge of love for him, tied to the realization that her pursuits could illuminate paths for him as well. Perhaps ambition and responsibility weren't mutually exclusive. She could show him what it meant to strive for success while grounding herself in family. After a moment, Emma returned her focus to the email, her finger hovering over the apply button. The invitation felt like a call to step out from the shadows of doubt and into a space of potential. What Mr. Reynolds had opened up in her consciousness now began to whisper possibilities. The moment stretched, thick with tension. She reflected on the importance of taking risks, redefining not just her future, but that of her siblings too. Maybe this was a chance not just for her personal growth, but also a testament to them that dreams should never be left unpursued. With renewed conviction, she clicked the button. The decision was exhilarating. Yet, the shaky feeling settled back into the pit of her stomach. This was only the beginning. How would she manage the complexities ahead? The implications of her decision felt immense, and the stakes were higher than ever, and in that moment, as anticipation danced with anxiety, another thought hit her: what if the opportunity held more consequences than she was prepared to face? As she leaned back in her chair, grappling with the breadth of change she had just initiated, an unexpected knock at the door shattered her moment of clarity. It was a knock signaling something she could never have anticipated, a shift that could either challenge or reinforce everything she had just resolved to embrace. Would she dare to confront what lay behind that door? Emma froze, the knock reverberating in her mind as if it held a key to some hidden door in her own life. She had crossed a threshold by applying to the nursing program, but now another decision loomed. Who could be on the other side? The moment felt both ominous and exhilarating, a fusion of anticipation and anxiety churning within her. With a deep breath, she walked to the door, heart pounding. Each step echoed her thoughts. Was she ready for whatever news awaited her? Was she ready for another shift in her already precarious balance of responsibilities? She opened the door slowly, revealing a woman standing there, a stranger with an air of confidence that almost radiated warmth. Hi. I'm Ava Thompson, the woman introduced herself, extending a hand. I live down the street. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I heard you just applied for the nursing program. Congratulations. Emma's brow furrowed in confusion. Thank you, but how did you know? Ava chuckled lightly. It seems news travels fast in this neighborhood. I used to work for that program as a coordinator. There was something in her smile that felt encouraging. It hinted at understanding, perhaps an empathy for Emma's predicament. Wow, really? Emma's curiosity piqued. What was it like? Transformative, to say the least. I was in a similar position as you, juggling a family and a full-time job. It was intimidating to consider returning to school, but the experience opened so many doors for me personally and professionally. Emma's heart raced at the encouragement. But don't you think it's a risk? The time commitment, the energy? What if I can't keep up? Ava leaned against the door frame, sensing the weight of Emma's worries. It's natural to feel uncertainty. But think about it: staying where you are or risking the leap. Often, we don't realize what we are truly capable of until we're pushed outside of our comfort zone. Her words resonated like a challenge. Emma closed her eyes momentarily, envisioning the myriad of paths laid before her, from the familiar drudgery of her past choices to the thrill of a future filled with possibilities. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like everything changed? Ava's expression softened. Oh, absolutely. The day I decided to leave my job to pursue nursing full-time felt like jumping from a cliff. I was scared. But once I took that leap, I realized I could soar. Her eyes sparkled with conviction. And now? I'm a nurse educator, training the next generation of nurses. Emma's mind raced. Here was a woman standing at the other end of the journey she desperately wanted to undertake, and her presence felt like a lifeline. What was the hardest part? She asked, emboldened by Ava's enthusiasm. The hardest part was not believing in myself. She paused, her gaze steady on Emma. I had to confront my fears, doubt, and the expectations I placed on myself. And sometimes, I had to make tough choices about what to prioritize. It's about balancing ambition with reality, yes, but also knowing you're worthy of both. Emma felt each word sink in deeper, unraveling layers of hesitation she had thought irredeemable. Maybe the apprehension she felt was a necessary part of her growth. Maybe there was strength in vulnerability. Do you really think I can do it? Emma asked, vulnerability creeping into her voice. Absolutely, Ava replied without hesitation. But remember, it's not just about you anymore, it's also about your siblings. You want to show them that they can achieve their dreams too. You're teaching them resilience. As Ava spoke, Emma felt an inkling of determination spark to life. Maybe I can find a way to make this work, for me and for them. Get involved, seek mentorship within the program, and don't shy away from support, Ava urged. You deserve to pursue your dreams with open eyes, not just for yourself but for those looking up to you. After a moment of silence, Emma straightened her back, the unfamiliar sense of confidence blooming within her. Thank you, Ava. I suppose I'll see what this journey truly holds for me. Before departing, Ava smiled and handed Emma her card. Reach out if you have questions. Remember, the fear doesn't have to define you. As Emma closed the door behind her, the weight of her choices felt lighter. The knock had emerged as an unexpected opportunity, the beginning of a professional metamorphosis she hadn't dared envision only hours earlier. But beneath her budding determination lay a gnawing question: was she truly prepared for the sacrifices requisite to pursue this ambition? Would the path forward draw her closer to all she sought or push her further from the obligations she held dear? As these thoughts spiraled, she glanced at Jake, who was now immersed in his own world, dreaming big. The fire to act surged anew within her. Could she mirror that same audacity? Would she face the unknown, fully armed with the knowledge that everything she yearned for lay just beyond her reach? The path was unclear, but one thing was certain: Emma was ready to step further into the unknown, leaving her past self behind. Would she have the courage to navigate the challenges ahead? The dawn light spilled through the kitchen window, casting a soft glow over scattered papers and textbooks where Emma had begun to outline her plan. Each page represented a piece of her future, filled with bold headings: time management, support systems, financial aid. It felt surreal to organize her aspirations, transforming a chaotic jumble of thoughts into tangible action. Determined, she navigated through the day's schedule in her mind, making mental notes about how her responsibilities would intertwine with her studies. The enormity of her intentions started to settle uncomfortably in her stomach. Would she truly manage the late-night study sessions alongside early morning school runs? Could she handle juggling the demands of her siblings while diving into her coursework? But even as doubt crept in, a flicker of resolve ignited, the promise of growth whispered to her from the depths of uncertainty. At work that evening, Emma found herself distracted. As she waited on tables, her mind drifted back to Ava's words: believe in yourself. During her shifts, that phrase echoed like a mantra, urging her forward. Each interaction with a customer felt different now. She was no longer just a waitress navigating mundane conversations. Instead, she envisioned how her future career would enable her to serve others more profoundly as a nurse, providing care that mattered. In the break room, she overheard a fellow waitress, Sarah, lamenting about her struggles with balancing school and work. The words resonated with Emma, a reflection of her own fears, and it ignited something within her. She approached Sarah. "Hey, I hear you. It's tough, right? But we can figure it out together." Sarah looked up, surprised at Emma's sudden shift from colleague to confidant. "What do you mean?" "Maybe we can brainstorm ways to manage our schedules, like study sessions after work or sharing tips on handling stress. I just applied to nursing school, and I could use some support." Emma's voice was steadier than she felt. A hint of admiration shined in Sarah's eyes. "Really? That's incredible. I've always thought you should be in a field where you can shine." It struck Emma like a lightning bolt. Here was an opportunity not just to seek help, but to rally others who might share her ambitions. Initiating a support group among their co-workers, she could create a network that would empower each of them, regardless of their individual paths. "What if we pull a group together? I've got the drive and motivation, and I know others are also looking for support." Sarah's face lit up, her hesitation melting away. "I'm in. If we pool our resources, maybe we can help each other out and even find a way to motivate ourselves through those long nights." That night, as Emma closed up the restaurant, she felt invigorated. The small spark of connection with Sarah transformed into a flame of purpose. Perhaps nurturing that sense of community, rooted in ambition and shared struggle, could be the foundation of not only her growth but also that of others. Yet, amidst this newfound empowerment loomed another question. Would she be able to maintain her momentum when the inevitable obstacles arose? As Emma prepared to leave for the night, exhaustion pulled at her, but she couldn't ignore the resolve brewing inside her. In a fleeting moment of self-reflection, she recognized this breakout into leadership wasn't merely aiding others, it was a mirror reflecting her desires for growth. Could stepping out of her comfort zone to support others amplify her own journey? The night air felt fresh and bracing against her skin as she walked towards home. But the deeper allure of her own thoughts battled with a realization this was an unprecedented change in their scope and importance. Striding forward with newfound clarity, Emma understood this was not just about her personal development but sowing the seeds of visionary ambition within a network that craved it. Would she have the resilience to sustain this momentum when faced with adversity? Would a moment of challenge be the catalyst for a new beginning? And as uncertainty loomed ever closer, she found herself on the precipice of personal discovery, ready to leap into the next phase of her journey. The lure of transformation beckoned, but the path ahead was still obscured. The choices she would now have to confront would test the very tenacity she thought she possessed. Emma was left to ponder: was she merely trying to uplift others, or was she unveiling parts of herself she hadn't yet discovered? The questions spiraled in her mind as she approached the threshold of home, leaving her to contemplate whether she was prepared for the fears that lay ahead. Emma's morning started with a deep breath, the kind that felt heavy with expectations. Her afternoon shift loomed, filled with the uncertainty of managing both work and study prep. Determined to start her day with clarity, she placed her carefully organized papers back in her bag, reluctant yet hopeful that they would guide her through the day. But distraction lingered, and with each passing hour, the anxiety of unmet obligations threatened her composure. As she set up her section at the restaurant, her thoughts raced ahead to the group study sessions she had suggested with Sarah. What if no one else wanted to join? What if the plan fell apart? A patch of fear twisted in her stomach, but she steeled herself to push those thoughts aside. Emma reminded herself that growth often emerged from discomfort and uncertainty. Perhaps this moment could test her ability to lead, to inspire, if only she could first convince herself she was worthy of that role. When Sarah arrived, Emma felt a flicker of hope. They shared the same shift, and Emma noticed her friend's determined demeanor. "Hey, did you think about the group?" Emma asked while pouring drinks for customers. Sarah's face brightened. "I did. I talked to Jenna, and she's interested too. If we can get a couple more people, we might really have something here." Encouragement surged through Emma like electricity. The prospect of collective ambition breathed life into her plans, prompting her to brainstorm on ways to energize the idea. They exchanged ideas during the slow moments of their shift, and she felt a partnership forming, both in their work and their shared goals. In between serving tables and strategizing, Emma caught a glimpse of her own latent skills. The way she navigated conversations with customers transformed from mere necessity to potential practice for her future nursing career. With each compassionate interaction, she gathered more confidence. A couple showed immense gratitude for their meal, thanking her sincerely. Their kindness reminded her of why she aspired to enter nursing, to make meaningful connections and provide care, but as the night progressed, so did the intensity of the restaurant's chaos. An unexpected rush tested her ability to juggle orders and seek help from colleagues. With the hectic atmosphere pushing in on her, an internal chorus of doubt resurfaced. What if she couldn't balance everything? What if she failed the group too? Despite the mounting pressure, Emma took a moment to breathe, grounding herself in the knowledge that resilience often peaked through adversity. She recalled Ava's encouraging words and pressed forward. Once her shift ended, Emma and Sarah convened at a nearby cafe, the table between them a canvas for their burgeoning dreams. They strategized over coffee, setting dates for their first study group, dividing topics, and even brainstorming techniques that could help them succeed despite their heavy workloads. As the evening grew darker, the warmth of camaraderie made their plans feel more attainable. Feeling a shift in herself, Emma realized she had driven the discussion, guiding Sarah's excitement and anchoring both their hopes. This sense of purpose crystallized her resolve. Perhaps she truly held the ability to uplift and motivate others, intertwining their efforts with her own. But with each breakthrough came an undercurrent of fear. Was she ready for this responsibility? Would her commitment to others inadvertently lead to neglect of her own needs? As she prepared to return home, Emma wrestled with the reality of her binding intention. How could she establish her identity as a leader and a caregiver when doubts still clouded her judgment? The night air felt charged, amplifying her introspective whirlwind. She understood that this journey required more than belief. It required action, consistent, deliberate action. Just when hope felt palpable, she encountered a random but arresting piece of news on her phone. A local entrepreneur had turned a small investment into $1 million business. The story resonated with her own life's transformation. What if she could find innovative ways to leverage her unique circumstances into a similar catalyst for her aspirations? Emma's heart raced at the thought. Could her humble beginnings and sheer tenacity forge a path to success in nursing or beyond? This revelation ignited an urgency within her, the burning question sparking yet another layer of ambition. What would it take for her story to impact not only her life but those around her in profound ways? With her sights set fiercely on the journey ahead, Emma found herself poised on the edge of her next pivotal moment, ready to discover just how far her drive could carry her. Would she now have the courage to confront the obstacles that lay ahead, and perhaps, in doing so, uncover her true potential? Emma awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose, the weight of her ambition still thundering in her chest. But the specter of that article lingered, intertwining with her thoughts. She felt an urgent need to reflect on her own journey, not just in nursing but across her life. What could she learn from the successes of others? As she prepared for another shift at the restaurant, Emma held on to the idea that leadership thrived on resourcefulness. In moments of clarity, she had envisioned her role evolving into something more profound than just a waitress. She felt an unmistakable call to cultivate an environment conducive to learning and healing, not just for herself but for those around her. Could it be possible to draw parallels from the entrepreneur's story to her aspirations in healthcare? Upon arriving at the restaurant, the familiar smells of coffee and grilled meats mingled with the electric buzz of conversation. Emma spotted Sarah already busily arranging tables, her energy infectious. Their collaboration felt like a burgeoning project alive with promise, and Emma approached her friend. "Hey, Sarah," she began, trying to mask her anxiety with enthusiasm. "I had an idea about our study group." "What's up?" Sarah responded, clearly intrigued. "What if we did something different? Instead of just meeting to study, let's create a fun, compelling environment, games, discussions, maybe even invite guest speakers from our school or the community who can share insights on practical nursing experiences? Emma watched as the idea sparked in Sarah's eyes. That's brilliant. We could leverage others' experiences to elevate our learning. Plus, it's way more engaging than sitting around with textbooks. Excitement pulsed through Emma, serving as a reminder to push boundaries beyond her current perceptions. Her courage blossomed with Sarah's agreement, igniting a plan. They could transform their study group into an interactive learning experience, enhancing not only their own knowledge but inspiring others in their class to participate. As they immersed themselves in the day's work, Emma found her leadership skills sharpening with each encounter. She became increasingly adept at engaging customers in conversations, sensing their needs with growing intuition. A difficult table required a deft touch, and she approached them with genuine empathy rather than sheer professionalism. When they left satisfied, Emma felt a surge of pride, each interaction underlining her capacity to connect. However, the impending shift from waitress to mentor weighed heavily on her. What if she failed to manage her dual roles? As her thoughts spiraled, she felt a peculiar dread coursing through her belly, yet it also urged her to consider strategies. A mental list formed of techniques that would ensure she remained afloat. Balancing responsibilities took meticulous planning and discipline, qualities she could nurture through this experience. That evening, she pulled Sarah into a quiet moment away from the noise as they prepared for shift change. We need to finalize our agenda for the first group meeting. Let us list ahead what we want to achieve, and how we can keep each other accountable. With utmost seriousness, they sat down and mapped out their discussion points, subjects they wanted to cover, activities to involve members, tips on managing time, and everyone's stress levels. By the end of their session, there was a tangible shift in Emma's resolve. She wasn't merely leading a group, she was forging a supportive community. Later that night, while the restaurant faded into shadows, Emma mulled over what she had accomplished. She had orchestrated a group dynamic, balanced her shifts, and driven her ambitions toward tangible outcomes. Yet, lurking beneath her triumph was an elusive question: what if her newfound identity was challenged? What if someone questioned her authority, or worse, exposed her own insecurities? The night air welcomed her home, heavy with grappling energies. How could she stand firm against those doubts and fears? Emma understood that true self-discovery lingered in confronting such vulnerabilities head-on. She reached for her phone, the article embedded in her mind once more. Perhaps, just perhaps, she could redefine her narrative, not by backing away from challenges but by seeking them out. As anticipation curdled in her stomach, Emma posed a new challenge to herself. What if she could present her unique vision for the group at next week's nursing meeting? Would her peers recognize her burgeoning abilities as both a leader and an aspiring caregiver? The prospect felt dizzying. This was more than personal growth, it was a leap into the unknown, a confrontation with the questions that had long haunted her. The next chapter awaited her, filled with the promise of revelation and the possibility of transformation, a pivotal moment for Emma's journey. Would she rise to the occasion and reshape her destiny, or unravel under newfound pressures? Emma stood in front of her mirror, anxiety bubbling beneath her skin as she practiced her presentation. Her reflection stared back, a potent mix of determination and uncertainty. The stakes had never felt higher. With a new purpose anchoring her steps, she rehearsed each word, focused on expressing her vision for the study group. But the weight of judgment from her peers tightened around her chest, the fear of their critical gazes gnawed at her resolve. Each day at work had become a series of experiments, testing her capabilities in leadership while simultaneously preparing her for the looming nursing meeting. The restaurant transformed into more than just a job, it became a stage where she experimented with assertiveness and creativity. If she could lead a study group, surely she could lead a conversation about it. Thus, she asked question after question, digging deeper into her own experience and that of her colleagues, striving to unearth their fears and aspirations. On her next shift, Emma noticed Karen, a fellow waitress who had been quiet and reserved. Emma approached her, driven by a curiosity fueled by her own recent discoveries. "Hey Karen, I was wondering, what do you think about organizing a cross-disciplinary workshop with our nursing and culinary classes?" might spice things up a bit. Karen looked surprised, flustered perhaps. Yeah. That could work, but do you really think people would be interested? Emma felt a pang of doubt, but she countered with determination. If we make it relevant, I think the response could be incredible. We could use culinary skills to educate others about nutrition in healthcare or something similar. She saw a flicker of recognition in Karen's eyes, igniting a momentary spark of enthusiasm. Emma ventured further, motivated by how she was weaving connection and collaboration. Imagine presenting recipes that focus on dietary needs for specific patients. We could invite doctors to speak about their experiences too. The more she spoke, the more the idea ignited Karen's imagination. Emma realized that the act of sharing her vision extended beyond her personal agenda. It was also about uplifting others, valuing their unique skills, and clarifying their mutual goals. As Karen's excitement grew, Emma felt her confidence swell. Every conversation chipped away at the doubt that had once chained her. When she returned home that evening, she reflected on her interactions, allowing gratitude to fill the spaces that had previously housed anxiety. This growth, she realized, wasn't merely for her benefit but for everyone involved. But isolation still whispered its significance. A lingering worry surfaced: what if her proposal at the nursing meeting was received poorly? Somehow, in her battle against her insecurities, Emma sensed a deeper challenge. Here she was, woven into the fabric of people's lives, yet constantly stitching together her own diminishing self-image. She questioned her authority, fearing that imposter syndrome would overshadow her efforts. As the meeting day approached, she encountered a sense of urgency. The idea of sharing her vision felt noble, yet the prospect was looming and daunting. This would not just be about her ideas, it would be a moment steeped in vulnerability, where she would openly lay bare her ambitions among her peers. Emma knew she had a chance to confront that fear. Each cautious breath pulled her in and out of self-awareness. Reflective moments had taught her that strength wasn't merely the absence of doubt, it was the audacity to stand in its presence and navigate through. The day arrived, and the atmosphere in the lecture hall buzzed with anticipation. The students filled the seats, murmuring to one another, their eyes trailing on the podium like searchlights searching for a target. Emma's heart raced, but within that cocktail of nerves, clarity emerged. This was her opportunity to forge connections, to unveil visions not just for herself, but to inspire the very community she sought to lead. As she stepped to the front of the room, the spotlight trained on her, a new tension mingled with purpose. Today, I want to invite you all to journey beyond our textbooks, she began, her voice gaining strength with every word. Little did she know, the moment unearthed revelations about herself that would deeply challenge her resolve. She was not merely confronting her peers, she was stepping into a version of herself she had yet to fully embrace. As Emma spoke, she sensed a pivotal shift, both internally and externally. Would this moment catapult her into a new understanding of her capabilities, or would it trigger the self-doubt she fought so diligently to overcome? The meeting's direction teetered on the brink of unpredictability. Emma could feel the eyes of her classmates, some curious, some skeptical. She had just taken the leap, and now she stood at the edge of discovery. Would she soar, or was this the beginning of unraveling all she had built? As Emma continued her presentation, her voice, though steady, trembled slightly. She gestured toward the audience, attempting to connect not just with her words but with the individuals behind them. Each nod and subtle smile from her classmates buoyed her spirits, trailing sparks of confidence along her spine. The initial doubt that had clung to her like a shadow began to fade, replaced by a realization that vulnerability could be a source of strength. I believe we can create a bridge between our knowledge and practical applications, she declared, her heart racing at the thought of the potential impact. She watched as the room shifted, her words resonating with enthusiasm, igniting a flicker of interest among her peers. This was more than a presentation, it was an invitation into her vision, her passion for health and culinary arts intertwined. Suddenly, a voice broke through her flow. Emma, do you really think we can get doctors and patients involved in our student workshop? It was Sarah, a fellow student known for her cynical outlook and dismissive attitude. How do you expect to convince busy professionals to spend their time on something so untraditional? The question struck like ice water. For a moment, Emma's initial enthusiasm wavered, and anxieties rushed back. The lingering specter of self-doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps Sarah's skepticism was accurate, reflecting the doubts that she had only recently begun to shake off. Feeling all eyes on her, Emma took a breath, feeling the weight of her ambition press upon her shoulders. "It might seem unconventional," she replied, her voice gaining strength, "but health and wellness don't exist in a vacuum. If we show them how their expertise can directly improve lives through nutrition and culinary practices, they may see the value in participating. Our role as future healthcare professionals is to think outside the box." She noticed nods of agreement ripple through the crowd, encapsulating a sense of collective curiosity. The initial spark of inspiration, fueled by her earlier confrontations with doubt, had taken root. She saw the potential for growth not just in herself, but in her classmates. As she continued, the energy in the room became palpable. Questions started flowing about logistics and potential speakers. Someone suggested partnering with local restaurants to cater the event, while another introduced the idea of including workshops on menu planning through a healthy lens. Each suggestion chipped away at her unease, transforming her vision into a shared mission. Emma was carried away by their ideas, weaving them into a fabric of collaboration that felt dynamic and alive. Her heart swelled. This was the engagement she had dreamed of. By inviting others into her vision, she simultaneously nurtured her confidence and quelled her fears. Once the presentation wrapped, Emma stepped down from the podium, but the exhilaration surged through her veins. For the first time, she wasn't consumed by the dread of judgment, she was buoyed by camaraderie and shared aspirations. Still, Sarah's earlier remark echoed in her mind, tapping into a thread of worry that lingered beneath the surface. What if the energy she felt was fleeting? What if the realities of organizing such an event proved insurmountable? Later, after classes, Emma found herself with Karen over coffee. "That was amazing. You really turned the room around, Emma." Karen's eyes sparkled with admiration but also curiosity. "But what happens next? How do we turn this into action?" The urgency in Karen's voice pressed against Emma's chest, flipping her whirlwind of excitement into a knot of apprehension. Could they sustain this momentum? Would her classmates back out when real work needed to be done? "Next, we need to gather everyone's input and align plans," Emma replied, looking directly into Karen's eyes. "But I want to ensure this doesn't fall apart. I need to take charge, to explain the structure and responsibilities clearly. Otherwise, it'll just be a fleeting idea." As they left the cafe, the chill of the evening wrapped around them, the tension of the upcoming tasks mingled with the thrill of possibility. Emma felt the first seeds of leadership firmly planted within her, but doubts about her ability to steer the ship lingered, threatening to ebb the tide of her newfound enthusiasm. Could she truly navigate the complexities of this collaborative effort without stumbling into chaos? The answer loomed ahead as they walked toward the lecture hall where their next meeting would unfold. Poised on the brink of realization, would Emma's resolve solidify into true leadership, or would she falter in the face of execution? The next phase of this journey had begun, and the stakes were rising. Emma's journey had taken on new dimensions, and at the heart of them lay an undeniable truth: she had transformed from a tentative waitress, burdened by responsibilities, into a budding leader capable of inspiring and guiding others toward shared ambitions. As she prepared for the first meeting of the study group with her peers, a sense of purpose flooded her veins. The atmosphere in the room was electric, filled with the chatter of her classmates buzzing with anticipation about the ideas she had kindled. Emma took a moment to appreciate the collective energy around her. The culmination of her dreams, past struggles, and newfound leadership came to life in this space. She stood before them, now more confident and assured than she had ever been. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady, resonating with authority. "Today is not just about our individual paths, it's about coming together to create something greater than each of us. We have a chance to support one another, to elevate our learning, and redefine what nursing and health education means in our community. As she articulated her vision for the group, Emma felt the weight of her earlier doubts dissolve. Her passions and aspirations were no longer shadows hidden away, they were driving forces actively guiding her and her peers. The room responded, not just with words of agreement but with shared enthusiasm for her initiative. What if we organized guest speakers? Professionals from nursing, nutritionists, and even culinary experts? Someone suggested. Emma seized this momentum, encouraging her classmates to brainstorm new ideas, listening with intent as their voices wove intricate possibilities. It was exhilarating to see her peers engage fully, share the ownership of their collective aspirations. Throughout the meeting, Emma found herself not only guiding discussions but actively participating in the exchange. Her confidence had solidified, and she expertly navigated each topic, eliciting participation and harnessing the strengths of each group member. No longer defined by her fears, she embraced vulnerability, letting her authentic self shine. By the end, as the energy began to wane, the group had established a clear plan of action for their upcoming workshop. Together, they had crafted a framework that would not just educate them, but also serve as a platform for inspiring confidence in each member. As they adjourned, a wave of fulfillment washed over Emma. She realized that her growth had not only stemmed from stepping outside her comfort zone but also from witnessing others flourish alongside her. Her siblings looked up to her in a new light. She was fostering resilience not just in herself but igniting it in those around her. She was no longer an outsider to her aspirations, she was at the very heart of fulfilling them. Days turned into weeks, and Emma diligently balanced her commitments. Each study session transformed into an incubator of creativity and collaboration. Enveloping her siblings in this newfound energy, she encouraged them to embrace their own ambitions. When her brother Jake spoke of his scholarship goals, she propelled him forward, weaving a narrative of success that enveloped their family. One evening, brushing through social media, Emma stumbled upon a comfort zone challenge related to nursing opportunities for community service. It rang true with the desire she had nurtured all this time. Fueled by inspiration, she mobilized her study group companions to spearhead a community health initiative, bridging their classroom learning experiences into tangible societal contributions. As the initiative gained momentum, Emma's confidence soared. She received unexpected acknowledgement from her nursing instructors, who praised her leadership qualities in arranging substantial community involvement. With every ounce of recognition they granted her, Emma felt her identity crystallizing not just as a student or a caretaker, but as a professional destined to contribute meaningfully to society. On graduation day, surrounded by applause, Emma took the podium and acknowledged the support that had forged her path. "Thank you to my family, my peers, and everyone who believed in the journey we share," she declared, her voice strong. "Together, we made this possible." The applause swelled, amplifying her sense of achievement. The nurse within her had been born, nurtured through trials, courage, and resilient support from her community. Emma stood tall, embodying a profound revelation. Her dreams were not a diversion from her family's needs but the means to uplift them, creating a legacy of aspiration and advocacy. She had conquered personal doubts, accomplished tangible goals in her career, and forged her identity through leadership. As she stepped off the stage, gratitude radiated through her. This was not just a chapter closed, it was the beginning of a life where she would never shy away from chasing dreams while uplifting the burdens of those she loved. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to share.